Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Super Metroid hack that was just released recently. First off, right off, I'm going to say this is post-commentated, because when I was playing it, I was in a Mumble call with, or a Mumble server rather, with a group of other people who were playing it too. So this hack is made by RealRed, and it's very interesting. If you couldn't tell from the main screen, it is based off of Project Base. Basically, instead of using the normal Super Metroid game, he used Project Base and built the hack off of that. So because of that, it's got all the Project Base like things, a lot of the palettes, some of the movement tech, the physics, it's all Project Base. Something he did do, which thankfully I remembered to change, was he changed the default controls to what he normally does, so I had to go and fix that back to actual default. So that is something, if you plan on starting up this hack, look at the controls just to see what they are so you know exactly what's going on. Like with the keyboard, since I play with a keyboard, it's a little easier for me because I just bind the keys to the buttons to whatever keys work for me. So changing the default was different. I'm not sure I approve, but it's whatever. So the story is different. This is basically Super Metroid, but with a very different backstory. So it is based mostly off of that, and he has some nice little artwork going on. I will say, a lot of the custom tiles in this hack, very nice. This is the one hack that has made a wreck ship that is not completely garbage in terms of how it looks. So it's a lot of improvement with that tile set. That being said, though, a lot of the tiles are still your normal project-based tiles, which aren't necessarily vanilla tiles, but they're not exactly ones he drew either. So I'm not entirely sure which all ones he drew. I know some of what he drew. Others I'm not so sure whether they were in project-based or not, or if he drew them. So yes, apparently Mother Brain was a fake. For reasons. So yeah, this is basically changing, I guess in this universe, the story is vastly different. So yeah, I mean obviously Samus was married. I believe it mentioned she had a child. And then space pirates blew everyone up. And now she's basically out to get revenge on the space pirates. That's your story. Also, those asteroids look like some gnarly potatoes. So right off the start, obviously this room not edited really because, again, Mode 7 stuff. And you can see the project base already with the beams. That's one thing with project base I am not as big a fan of. I mean, I like how it plays. I still prefer the vanilla physics and stuff, but like this is a more acceptable physics change when compared to other hacks that change physics. And series is slightly different. Suddenly crates and stuff. Also, it still has the backflip / damage boost move, which is kind of interesting. And the Metroid is glowing and stuff, because that's what they do in jars. They glow. And Agri Space Dragon just flies away. But yeah, no timer. You get a very interesting red overlay, and then this room changes. You now walk behind stairs. Kind of an interesting way of doing things. Get to some hidden rooms, I guess. And then if you were paying attention, unlike me, you would have noticed there was another door in the shaft, which you now come out of, which puts you back up here. You can also see some of the map tiles. How he's got doors marked in them. I have been doing that myself because that should be a thing in all hacks, really. However, and I am probably guilty of this myself, and for some reason the place doesn't explode. And that looks like one diseased planet. But with the map tiles, and again, I probably do this myself. I have to go back and make sure, check things. But sometimes those map tiles with the doors become a little bit frustrating, because it won't show the actual door connection on both sides of the map tiles, because there's two map tiles whenever the doors connect. And sometimes only one tile will have the door marker on it. So, that being the case, you could go through like an area, find powerbomb doors, whatever. Yeah, to go back to later. And then when you go back, you look at the map, you have no idea where they are because that side of the door is not marked on the map. So that part gets a little bit annoying. Anyway, about the hack itself, which I just ran off the ledge like a dingbat. It is designed to be very open, think like ice metal uninstall. Sort of like that, where you can seemingly go pretty much wherever you want. I say seemingly because there are points where it's very clear that's not really the case. And I know some players had issues with that, because the open world concept, letting you pretty much move about wherever you want, it does create some issues, because there will be players, you know, who find things, get most of the world opened up, keep going around, and don't actually make any progress because what they need is actually in one location, or they have to do some crazy sequence breaks or whatever to get an item. So, like, when something like that happens, I mean, you kind of have to expect that with a hack like this. That being said, I still enjoyed this. And right now I'm blocked off by missile doors and such. I actually believe you're supposed to go to the right at the ship, which I did not do at all. And that guy just fell off for some reason. This room is actually kind of interesting because above in that big room there's a nice upgrade that I don't get for a very long time because of stuff. And this I thought was nice. He's got the damage boost backflip thing marked in the tiles, which that gives me my first missiles. Which brings me to the best part of this hack. The ammo system. I know this is something that has been discussed for a while, but this is the first hack to actually use it. Basically, every upgrade you get goes into a pile, I don't really have a better word, your pile of ammo. So every missile tank you get will add 5 ammo to your total, you know, sort of like normal. The difference being that when you collect super missiles and power bombs, they also add to the same ammo pile. But when you collect supers, they add 10, and power bombs, I believe, add 15. So all your equipment pulls from the same ammo pile. That is by far the best thing about this hack. Because here's what it does. Because obviously the supers and power bombs take more ammo to use and whatnot. So that's in there where it's more... They cost more to use. But it makes finding regular missiles still valuable. Because they will keep adding those 5 to the total ammo pile, which everything draws from. So you find 4 missile packs, well hey, that's 2 more super missiles I can use. So it works really well like that. And I'm certainly hoping this appears in pretty much most hacks from now on. So there are grapple blocks. You can pretty much ignore all of those. There's a trick I end up doing later that really trivializes grapple beam entirely, and in general grapple beam is not that useful in this hack. I don't know if you can really see it or tell right now, but I can already jump pretty high, and this is without high jump. When you get high jump, that is... They have been nicknamed moon boots for a reason, so... And hanging out here, again something I always like when hacks do. Just an energy tank lying out in the open. It's always a good thing. And the energy tanks don't do anything with ammo, they're still their separate thing, which is good. I suppose you can make a hack where everything like that is in one thing, and then using missiles and stuff drains your health because it's the same counter. I don't know, that would be weird. That would be very weird. And there is something with, I guess, common enemies, which we'll see more later. And up here, well, I guess I'll get there eventually. I decide I want to look at this side of the morph tunnel. It's really important to get those map tiles filled in. But up here is an interesting thing about this hack. Sort of very redesigny. Also kind of like Fear, actually, in that you have gates, whereas Redesign had Chozo Guardians. Fear has something different. This has gates. And at the end of the video, actually, I take that back. At the start of the next video, we'll see what those gates are. But basically, they are the lock to terrain, sort of like the Chozo Guardians in Redesign. So that is sort of your fetch quest for the hack, to go around the planet, explore, and find these gate switches. We will see the first one opened in this video, but yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. I personally like things like that because it forces the player to actually go and explore the world. I know some may not like that as much because then they can't just finish the game when they want. They actually have to go look around for these things. I don't mind it as much because I like looking through the place. Especially when the hack is okay to play. It's not a terrible experience. So, but that is something with the game as well, and that it's not, these gates aren't just for the in-game area. You'll also see these numbered gates spread throughout the world themselves. So there's different things blocked off by a gate. You find the switch to open the gate, then all the gates are open. The one that blocks off terrain with the corresponding number, and then all the corresponding numbers also within the world itself, outside of the main entrance to terrain. So it's a neat little thing. I like it. Also, yes, this hiding spot may be just about the most hidden of any item, honestly. There's not really a lot of hidden things. Like that one, I could see people missing that, but really, there's not that much in terms of actually hidden stuff. There weren't really any super ridiculous items. I did not 100% this when I played through it the first time, so there may be some really ridiculous items that are hidden or one somewhere. I don't know, but for the most part, you'll be able to find plenty of items without having to look super hard. Without one tiny little pixel looks misplaced. And I should mention these interesting graphical edits on the gamer enemies. They have been known as shroomers because they look like mushrooms and they're gamers, so shroomer. I think it's a very good name for them. Just like crawling mushroom caps, because why not? I guess, I don't know. Kind of silly and whatnot, but so if I had actually gone to the right spot, we would have had some other items by now. Which again, this is part of the whole open world exploration thing, so players have some freedom to go around, completely miss items they need to advance. And with this hack, in some cases, that could lead to a lot of backtracking and looping around and still not finding something. Because while nothing is super hidden, it's not exactly obvious either, so yeah, currently I'm just going through, like, I'm obviously needing a Morph Ball, which you can really get right at the start. I'm just go pretty much the opposite way of what I did. You'll go places faster. Also, this room has a fun little thing in it that I did later. As you can see, the map goes up. Those are actually crumble blocks up above me, so can't do anything. And you can kind of see it's just this giant eye-shaped room. It is one of my favorite things about this hack, because there's an item in that room which I really want. I'm not supposed to get until much later, but I end up circumventing that later. Much later, actually. So basically, you're supposed to either Shine Spark or Space Jump across this pit so you can get up there. Because unfortunately, you can't wall jump that. I don't even have Morph right now, so I can't even get in that tunnel, so... But keep that room in mind, because I do things in there. So yeah, as you can see, didn't explore anything on the right, really. And if I had went over there in the first place, I would actually be somewhere right now. But going to the left, I do have, obviously, the 3 missiles and the energy tank, so I still got some reward for it. Just nothing in terms of actual real advancement. Plus, I did see my first gate, which you would see going to the right anyway, but still kind of introduces that because you can go over there, he blocked off the area, so it's like, no, you should go find this item before you advance here, really. So that's kind of nice, I guess. The missile doors only taking one missile is also kind of nice. Again, if you do change that, I suggest either keeping it at 5 or just do 1. If you change it to like 3 or 2 or 4, it's just really weird. So I know some hacks have done that, where it's like 2 or 3, and it's like, it's just really awkward, just because players in general are used to, or at least those that played Super Metroid and the original are used to 5 missile doors. And then in Zero Mission, I think Fusion? I don't even remember, but Fusion did that. But in those, the missile doors only took 1. Or did Fusion or Zero Mission take 5? I don't even remember now. I don't know Metroid at all. And underwater stuff, you can't really do anything about. Be advised, I do a lot of underwater stuff. And also this is kind of interesting, where the water drains out of the room like that. It's a neat little visual thing, I guess. Kind of explains away why the water's not in that room, just because it has a drain or whatever. And this is just leads to an elevator to Meridia. Okay, so something with this hack that he mentioned in the README, I do believe, is that if you find enemies that are stronger, you're not likely supposed to be there. You should go and look for an item to make them back to, I guess, normal strength. Back to what you find early on. I have to say that was... It's a good concept, but it's not exactly done very well, and I'm not sure it could be done very well. Because you can always defeat these enemies. They're not invincible with any of your equipment. So, that being the case, I'm like, oh, I can go this way. I'll just ignore everything. So this is your actual first gate you're supposed to come across on the actual path. So if you notice that Shroomer up there just crawls up in this hole, it's like, oh, hey, it's a thing. And this is... And I scrolled through it real fast because I wasn't expecting a message. Basically, I just activated gate number 1. That's how all of the gates are marked with their numerals, and now all gate number 1s everywhere are open once that switch is activated. So you can get back here. So early on, it sort of locks you in this area to explain this gimmick. Or this feature. So that way you know, oh hey, this opens that. And over here is our Morph Ball. But yeah, I do like that it leads you to this area. And yes, the Morph Ball makes terrible sounds when morphing and unmorphing. I don't know what you were thinking. That's awful. But the game kind of leads you to this area, which is probably the second best thing about the hack. Because in an open-ended world, instead of being lost forever, sort of like Airy, looking for the final area when you're ready to finish, the design sort of draws you to this spot where the elevator to the final area is. So that was a really good decision, really good design choice right there. Because once you find all the gates, you're like, oh, I know exactly where I should be. And those doors on the left and right of the elevator take you to other submaps. One takes you to Meridia, one takes you to Norfair. So you can get around the world quicker, which is also another really nice thing. Although for people who are lost and looking for stuff, probably not so much, because they might get even more lost and stuck. But anyway, at this save station is where I stop off. It's like, oh, here's a save station. We'll save, and I ended up stopping the SMV because the frame counter was getting up there. So, with that, thank you for watching. the first video of Hyper Metroid. Stay tuned, and the second video we'll start off here and see how many gates there are and how exactly they work with opening up terrain. So we will see you for that.